hit him. Good job, kids. Got her too. Jenny, take a shot.
Thank you for supporting high school basketball and a safe trip home.
Nice. I bet you could get a nice chain for that. Yep.
I know it. Show everyone.
See that, Nate?
Look.
Feel how heavy that bad boy is.
Oh, it's good. Is that it? That was good, Bernie. You missed that. Show mommy. Bernie hit Ronnie in the head and went by. It was
Good boy, Ron. Good. Is that it? Are we done? Bless you.
Oh, Emily, is that cute?
What is it, a raccoon?
No, it's a teddy bear. Stop it. Stop it. If I have to tell Lynn to stop it, I will.
What does that mean?
Stop it. Can I see that, Emily? Let me see. Can I see that? Emily? Can I see that?
Hang it on his ear.
I just want to look at it. Oh, Lynn, this one says granddaughter's first Christmas.
Aw, neat.
Aww. No, you can't have
All
it.
right, all together. Merry Christmas, boss and mom.
Cool?
Emily said it too.
Let's see. It's a calculator.
Yeah.
Great!
Isn't that cool? She debated whether to get it. I said, oh, get it,
I
be
always use a calculator. That's mint though.
With
I like
pearls.
It. Yeah.
It was that.
For a picture.
It's a mint watch.
Yeah.
It's over 100 years
Why
old.
does it have that 10 seconds?
You like it.
You know, that's
6,
beginning.
7,
So it's
It goes
your
10 seconds and then it goes off.
Looks like
Yeah,
somebody
great,
had
Why?
great.
I don't know.
and then what does 1/100th mean over on
That's
the
your
left?
timer.
It's his great
No, it says 1/100th. What does that
No.
mean?
It's mom's grandfather, so it's our great grandfather.
old.
Yeah.
You know how Grandma
Is that what that
Thompson,
means?
Yeah.
you know, it's your great grandma?
I was thinking of that.
Stop it and rewind it to the beginning. Because I've already.
Boom,
Man, she hits the
boom.
floor heavy.
Well, how much more are you going to take?
You can like crack
Pretty well over.
Yeah.
That's a mint.
Get him.
I'm getting more old stuff. Jeez, oh man.
Oh, I can see.
It goes all the way over there. Come over here and look at it over there.
Gosh.
This is for Jenny, because you didn't believe us. You gotta stand where I am to see it all the way.
Probably not going to be able to see it. All I see is a reflection.
Oh, well, you can only see the parts where the light is. I told you should have put a light up. Oh, look at it from over here.
Don't open those.
See, it comes all the way over there.
Oh, it's out our back window. We're not going to be able to get out of the house. Somehow we're leaking inside the door.
Mom's videotaping Virginia. Shut the door, it's cold.
Blown in.
Anna, Dad, come here. We leaked. Get inside. Okay, this is for Jenny. She didn't believe us last night. This is Sunday. This is downstairs. Everything's snowed in. Can't even open the doors, otherwise it'll come pouring in. And go in my room. Look at my window. It's all covered. See if we can get a view up here. No, I don't think so. Can't see anything. Go upstairs. Some on the window. There's the driveway. We can get out.
Yeah. Well, I think the most important thing is how far along is, Route 12 and Route 17. I don't know what to tell you.
Everything outside the front door.
Oh, yeah, it's moving away from you. I mean, the storm's over. There's no doubt about it, the storm's over. The question is, do they have the roads open and how, with the drifting and all of that, you might be able to, you say to yourself that, the road's open, but
Here it is
you
out
hit
the
a drift,
window.
a 4-foot drift, and you're done.
There's-
You're stuck there.
It's up above the
I just don't know
windows.
what to tell you. I don't know, wait. I sure
And I
wouldn't travel
guess
at night.
that's
So you
about
want to
it.
figure from 6 o'clock
Yeah.
back. Hey, Joe! I'm looking for loader.
Here we go again.
Can you dance, Sam?
This should be a commercial or something. Jack Daniels on the Village bus. Did you span that whole thing when she was over there, Mom? Cover up. No. Come here, man. Come here. Come here. Emmy. Emmy. No.
That's focused. Is it? Sure, it's focused.
All right. Who is that? Is that Joseph? Joseph's not up. Joseph must be fourth. He's got to be cleanup hitter. I told him, I said, Joey, just make contact. But if you get an opportunity, park one.
Yeah, he's yeah, he's on deck. You can't tell with the face masks they have these days.
Yeah, that's him.
Next we'll be wearing football helmets.
How the hell do I, let's see.
Oh, nice hit.
I got to do the play thing. He's in there.
Side, jerk.
How do I stop this?
Push pause. Just push pause. Beneath that bat, I tell you, made me a nervous freaking wreck. He'd get that ball before they had a chance to swing at the goddamn thing.
Oh, that's great, Linnea. Frickin' battery signal is going.
Hmm? The battery's going?
Yeah, the battery signal is going. I gotta be careful, I'm being recorded here.
Right. To the TV.
Yeah. Plug it into the TV VCR.
Yeah, you can record.
It's real handy dandy, isn't it?
There it is. Joey's up to bat.
He's gonna let it out of the park. Not first pitch, though. Never swing at first pitch.
Take a good look, Joey.
Good on to move.
Hi. Good eye.
Joe.
Good look.
So they got it up in the box.
Final call, 800 meters.
Grab my bag, wait a minute. Please?
Good finish, Mike.
Second call, 3,000, 3,200 meter run. Final call, 200 meter dash for boys. And first call for the 4x400 relays.
I have 5 children. Oh, she's with you now.
This one you should know.
Aussie finale.
Sing, Moles. Sing. Is that what tells you to go?
Lovely.
Everybody's talking about
Planet Earth,
rebirth,
United Nations,
good relations, space station, starvation, radiation, salvation, education, liberation. All we are saying is give peace a chance. All we are saying is give peace a chance. What we're talking about, everybody's talking about civil war, revolution, Armageddon, no solution. Are we facing Vietnam? We don't want to drop the bomb. All we are saying is give peace a chance. Give peace peace a chance. Everybody's talking about acid house, gay spouse, greenhouse, heavy metal, hip hop, censorship, has to stop. HIV, AZT, and new kids dance on MTV with toxic waste dumps in the sea. All we are saying is give peace a chance. All we are saying is give peace a chance.
Everybody's talking about
Amazon trees gone, cancer cells from the sun. Middle East, crazy beasts, rock and roll to sing for peace. All we are saying, all we're thinking is give peace a chance. Give peace a chance. All we are saying, all we're thinking is give peace a chance. You gotta sing it for the children. All we are saying is give peace a chance. Before it's too late, babe. All we are saying.
Military targets in Iraq and Kuwait. These attacks continue as I speak. Ground forces are not engaged. This conflict started August 2nd when the dictator of Iraq invaded a small and helpless neighbor. Kuwait, a member of the Arab League and a member of the United Nations, was crushed. Its people brutalized. 5 months ago, Saddam Hussein started this cruel war against Kuwait. Tonight, the battle has been joined. This military action, taken in accord with United Nations resolutions and with the consent of the United States Congress, follows months of constant and virtually endless diplomatic activity on the part of the United Nations, the United States, and many, many other countries. Arab leaders sought what became known as an Arab solution, only to conclude that Saddam Hussein was unwilling to leave Kuwait. Others traveled to Baghdad in a variety of efforts to restore peace and justice. Our Secretary of State, James Baker, held an historic meeting in Geneva, only to be totally rebuffed. This past weekend, in a last-ditch effort, the Secretary General of the United Nations went to the Middle East with peace in his heart, his second such mission, and he came back from Baghdad with no progress at all in getting Saddam Hussein to withdraw from Kuwait. Now, the 28 countries with forces in the Gulf area have exhausted all reasonable efforts to reach a peaceful resolution, have no choice but to drive Saddam from Kuwait by force. We will not fail. As I report to you, air attacks are underway against military targets in Iraq. We are determined to knock out Saddam Hussein's nuclear bomb potential. We will also destroy his chemical weapons facilities. Much of Saddam's artillery and tanks will be destroyed. Our operations are designed to best protect the lives of all the coalition forces by targeting Saddam's vast military arsenal. Initial reports from General Schwarzkopf are that our operations are proceeding according to plan. Our objectives are clear. Saddam Hussein's forces will leave Kuwait. The legitimate government of Kuwait will be restored to its rightful place, and Kuwait will once again be free. Iraq will eventually comply with all relevant United Nations resolutions, and then, when peace is restored, it is our hope that Iraq will live as a peaceful and cooperative member of the family of nations, thus enhancing the security and stability of the Gulf. Some may ask, why act now? Why not wait? The answer is clear. The world could wait no longer. Sanctions, though having some effect, showed no signs of accomplishing their objective. Sanctions were tried for well over 5 months, and we and our allies concluded that sanctions alone would not force Saddam from Kuwait. While the world waited, Saddam Hussein systematically raped, pillaged, and plundered a tiny nation, no threat to his own. He subjected the people of Kuwait to unspeakable atrocities, and among those maimed and murdered, innocent children. While the world waited, Saddam sought to add to the chemical weapons arsenal he now possesses an infinitely more dangerous weapon of mass destruction, a nuclear weapon. And while the world waited, while the world talked peace and withdrawal, Saddam Hussein dug in and moved massive forces into Kuwait. While the world waited, while Saddam stalled, more damage was being done to the fragile economies of the Third World, the emerging democracies of Eastern Europe, to the entire world, including to our own economy. The United States, together with the United Nations, exhausted every means at our disposal to bring this crisis to a peaceful end. However, Saddam clearly felt that by stalling and threatening and defying the United Nations, he could weaken the forces arrayed against him. While the world waited, Saddam Hussein met every overture of peace with open contempt. While the world prayed for peace, Saddam prepared for war. I had hoped that when the United States Congress, in historic debate, took its resolute action, Saddam would realize he could not prevail and would move out of Kuwait in accord with the United Nations resolutions. He did not do that. Instead, he remained intransigent, certain that time was on his side. Saddam was warned over and over again to comply with the will of the United Nations, leave Kuwait or be driven out. Saddam has arrogantly rejected all warnings. Instead, he tried to make this a dispute between Iraq and the United States of America. Well, he failed. Tonight, 28 nations, countries from 5 continents, Europe and Asia, Africa and the Arab League, have forces in the Gulf area standing shoulder to shoulder against Saddam Hussein. These countries had hoped the use of force could be avoided. Regrettably, we now believe that only force will make him leave. Prior to ordering our forces into battle, I instructed our military commanders to take every necessary step to prevail as quickly as possible and with the greatest degree of protection possible for American and Allied servicemen and women. I've told the American people before that this will not be another Vietnam. And I repeat this here tonight. Our troops will have the best possible support in the entire world, and they will not be asked to fight with one hand tied behind their back. I'm hopeful that this fighting will not go on for long, and that casualties will be held to an absolute minimum. This is an historic moment. We have in this past year made great progress in ending the long era of conflict and Cold War. We have before us the opportunity to forge for ourselves and for future generations a new world order, a world where the rule of law, not the law of the jungle, governs the conduct of nations. When we are successful, and we will be, we have a real chance at this new world order, an order in which a credible United Nations can use its peacekeeping role to fulfill the promise and vision of the UN's founders. We have no argument with the people of Iraq. Indeed, for the innocents caught in this conflict, I pray for their safety. Our goal is not the conquest of Iraq. It is the liberation of Kuwait. It is my hope that somehow the Iraqi people can, even now, convince their dictator that he must lay down his arms, leave Kuwait, and let Iraq itself rejoin the family of peace-loving nations. Thomas Paine wrote many years ago, "These are the times that try men's souls." Those well-known words are so very true today. But even as planes of the multinational forces attack Iraq, I prefer to think of peace, not war. I am convinced not only that we will prevail, but that out of the horror of combat will come the recognition that no nation can stand against a world united. No nation will be permitted to brutally assault its neighbor. No president can easily commit our sons and daughters to war. They are the nation's finest. Ours is an all-volunteer force, magnificently trained, highly motivated. The troops know why they're there, and listen to what they say, for they've said it better than any president or prime minister ever could. Listen to Hollywood Huddleston, Marine Lance Corporal. He says, "Let's free these people so we can go home and be free again." He's right. The terrible crimes and tortures committed by Saddam's henchmen against the innocent people of Kuwait are an affront to mankind and a challenge to the freedom of all. Listen to one of our great officers out there, Marine Lieutenant General Walter Boomer. He said, "There are things worth fighting for. A world in which brutality and lawlessness are allowed to go unchecked isn't the kind of world we're going to want to live in." Listen to Master Sergeant J.P. Kendall of the 82nd Airborne. "We're here for more than just the price of a gallon of gas. What we're doing is going to chart the future of the world for the next 100 years. It's better to deal with this guy now than 5 years from now." And finally, we should all sit up and listen to Jackie Jones, an Army lieutenant, when she says, "If we let him get away with this, who knows what's going to be next?" I've called upon Hollywood and Walter and JP and Jackie and all their courageous comrades in arms to do what must be done. Tonight, America and the world are deeply, deeply grateful to them and to their families. And let me say to everyone listening or watching tonight, when the troops we've sent in finish their work, I'm determined to bring them home as soon as possible. Tonight, as our forces fight, they and their families are in our prayers. May God bless each and every one of them and the coalition forces at our side in the Gulf, and may He continue to bless our nation, the United States of America.
Stuck with the kids tonight? You stuck with the kids? No, just one. Hey, come over here.
Keep driving. Right there. Lou, that's safe rides.
He's driving. Oh, he's driving.
We give him our safe rides.
You're a lot safer.
Been drowned out all of the reasons. Bombers.
Anna was downstairs making out. I heard her.
Easy.
Hey, you.
This is him.
Hey, you. Climb on, big boy.
You shouldn't
What
do
do you know in
that.
these?
Because he'd kick your ass. No, I'm just kidding. You could probably take him.
Are you ready?
You could probably take it.
I'm ready.
15.
Eddie!
Damn it. We're all yours, Adam.
You can't say that no more.
Here we go. Here we go. Quiet on the
Okay,
set.
it all started 22 years ago with draft number 96, Vietnam.
Yeah.
Oh, I remember that song.
Then he went into jump school in Georgia.
Yes. Jimmy Martin.
LaGrange, Georgia. He didn't know that till I told him.
So what?
I said, really? It's a place in Georgia?
A
lot of nice girls on the range. Hey, what?
Oh, that's next.
Wait a minute. After all that, he went through jump school just to get a broken back. But what can you say? Might as well.
Yeah.
Might as well jump.
Might as well jump.
Jump that day.
Landed right on my butt.
Foggy and I was in the trees. All busticated.
Then he moved up to radio operator, the one-man band. Then Lee was born in the South.
Oh, sweet home.
Yeah!
I'm southbound in the ocean, and I'm
Then he became a base platoon leader, and he was ready to go, ready to fight the world.
Yeah! I know. Fire away.
We're getting closer. Pretty soon we're driving.
After that, he met his good friend Steve Curley.
Oh, yes. Stephen Douglas.
Where's the Thunderbird? Bernie, where's the Thunderbird?
That's the T-Bird! Where's the T-Bird? He's got it.
story, real quick. I gotta interrupt this. Picture this. It's
Sicily.
Good picture it.
It's Mid-East Alabama, 1973.
Got it.
I'm a second lieutenant, and the guy that I'm with is a second lieutenant.
Who loves
and
you?
he is a detachment commander. And we are transferring all of the equipment from the home base back to our new detachment headquarters from Pell City, Alabama to Phoenix City, Alabama. Now, Phoenix City is near Sin City of the South, okay? I mean, right through the heart of Dixie. So we get everything all arranged, get the truck loaded, we get a 2.5 load. Bobby will love this.
Stay with me, bro.
Watch me, Bob. 50 M16s, bolts in the chambers.
Like they can go off at any
time.
time.
And we said to the top sergeant, we said, okay, you guys go ahead, take care of the truck driver, we'll meet you down there. Steve and I get in the command vehicle, which was his car, grabbed a couple of 6-packs, and drove from Phoenix City from Pell City to Phoenix City. So we got there at 3 o'clock. At 5 o'clock, the truck didn't show up yet. At 5:30, the full-timer shows up, and we said, where's the truck? He said, I don't know, it's not here yet. I said, who did you get to drive? He said, Jones. Who's his shotgun? Nobody. Do you know who Jones was? He's about 6'2", weighed about 132 pounds, and black as the ace of spades. With 50 weapons in the back of that truck, no license, and he's black, driving through the state of Alabama in 1973. At about 6:45, Steve, and I had Steve convinced, I said, we're going to jail. I said, we're done, we're out of here. And Steve was like, oh, damn, Ronald, I can't afford this. We cannot go to jail. You had better call the state police. You think I should? Steve, call the state police before we go to jail. Steve was like,
Nice.
and all of a sudden we hear, kid did not know how to drive, drove about 80 miles with 50 weapons in the back of that truck
In first
alone in Alabama, no license. Sorry, Mr. Boss.
There's a bad in the bush.
Told me to do.
Okay, about this beer.
And I did remind Steve, I said, you're the commander.
Guess what? You're in charge.
Excuse me, you are the commander. One more time, you are it, Bucky.
Pass beer. Pass beer.
Next.
Next.
Jenny is born.
Call it sweet surprise. She was a surprise.
Then he was promoted to training officer. Of course I know.
Who did I train?
Of course I know. Then he went to summer camp in Boise, Idaho, which was his longest trip ever. Without road.
Yes!
Yeah!
Boise, Idaho. Yes. In the Rockies with the Doobie Brothers. Yes. Drove Snake River Canyon Road. We jumped into Boise, Idaho, rented a car, went up the Snake River, and drove back the back way. There was one kid in the car that was so scared, he was on the floor in the back, laying down. We drove along the Snake River. It goes from like 5,000 feet at Hell's Canyon, 5,000 feet down to nothing. And the roads, there was one place where I actually had to back the car up to get around a hairpin turn. No rails, dirt road. Drove all the way back in the dark with a little Rocky Mountains spring
Oh,
water,
yeah.
you know. That's great.
Yeah, and they're on duty. They're on duty, folks. They're on duty.
And the Doobie Brothers were there. Oh, yeah.
They're getting paid for this, yes.
Oh, yes.
You jumped into Idaho.
Oh, yeah. Beautiful.
Then Anna was born, and she's always been the happy one. Then he was promoted to captain.
Yeah.
Remember that.
Yeah. Get it done.
The Triangle. Kent, Connecticut. Purchase, New York. Fairfield, Connecticut. Back to Kent. Started at 06 in the morning.
A 4-pointed triangle.
Oh, dark 30. Oh. Those afternoon nights were tough.
A 4-pointed triangle.
Then he became company commander, which is enough to drive anyone to the lake.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Remember Rick Stiers? Rick Stiers came into my bunk. He said, "You got 15 minutes to get out of that rack." I drank a half a bottle of aspirin. Got to my station.
Guess what? Here I am.
Oh, God.
Then Joey was born.
Joe Pisano. Yeah, Joe.
You saw me in half, boy?
Then he made adjutant, which was when he was at his strongest.
You made what?
What they call
He
that?
agitated somebody. He agitated.
Yeah.
Piss somebody
Aide to the
off.
colonel.
Aide to the colonel. I was, yes. I was like a rock.
Yeah. Smile when you say that.
Like a rock.
Good night.
I was strong as I could be. Like a rock. Nothing ever got to me. Like a rock. I was something to see. Like a rock.
Like a rock.
After that, things started to, the rock started to turn into sand. How many headaches could Uncle Sam possibly give him? He just thought maybe needed to change the legal ways.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Woo! That must have been during Desert Storm.
That's the King Bissell crisis.
It's like the moment you were
We still got time.
Oh.
Okay.
Carlos and Dan.
Then he became the shop officer, and things were even tougher.
Uh-oh.
That's right.
promoted to major, and those 2 weekends a month and 2 weeks out of the year turned into just about every weekend and every Wednesday and every Thursday and every other day. So he was running all over the place. Despite all of this, he made maintenance officer and he never stopped looking ahead. Then he had so many nights through all of this, nights driving alone. He should have been home.
Oh, those deer! On 13 Beaver Meadow Road, 85 miles an hour. I can make it back to Syracuse in 55 minutes. Beaver Meadow Road, didn't you? You know, yeah. That Bronco would be rocking, boy, just thundering.
Yeah, flying low.
Then he became the plans operation officer.
That was good.
You don't know, man.
Then he made executive officer. He's looking good now.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Had to wear the Class A's. Had to wear the Class A's, Bob.
Crazy about a sharpness.
Then now everyone calls him the Man of Steel.
Yeah.
They started calling me the Man of Steel.
There you go.
And my friends all call me Superman.
And now it's all over. He's retiring. Very good.
Wait, what is this now? Hold on. Say this again. Eddie, Betty. What are we doing here?
In case you ever decide to grow a beard, which you've never been able to do.
Oh, yeah, I did.
During 2 weeks in the summer.
Ah, yes.
Now we can groom it.
I got one of those, they were great.
Are we ready?
Great. Thank you. That's tar. I can't shave it. It's a bust razor and wipe it off and it don't come off. Yeah.
Okay, what's this?
The one you wasted polishing the boots all the time.
Who's these? Where are these guys?
They're in our bedroom watching the ball game.
And it's not green.
Kentucky by 3.
It's what?
What does it
For
say?
all the boots you polished, and you wasted one polishing your boots.
Oh, I did.
And it's not green because you're a civilian now.
Oh, okay,
We got a red t-shirt.
It's a red t-shirt.
No more green
All the
t-shirts.
white ones I blew away,
Get
right?
7 minutes. Vern.
We got more time than we thought. We got more time than we thought.
We love you. We love you. Pal. This could be overtime. But
New weekend outfit. This particular ensemble is for work around the house, particularly in spring and summer.
that's good. That's good. Keep it going. Keep it going.
Money, 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 money.
Bob, it's a lawnmower.
Hey, you got a lawn boy.
Yes, Bob, you can borrow it.
Work on some.
So cut off all your army pants for shorts. That's awful small.
You can't be doing this.
Think you're gonna wear this summer?
Cut off army.
Where do you hook it?
What is this?
Nothing.
Another new weekend outfit. This
nothing
outfit will
burned.
be worn to go to all the parties and visits to friends' houses on weekends. Like the so many ones we've declined because it was a drill weekend.
Ah, blame him.
I personally like the boots and the.
And we were at the high point of
That was
festivity.
always impressive when I showed up. I went to a wedding once with my
With the uniform on, yes.
We keep it
wedding was
green
that?
so you wouldn't feel so separated from the fatigues.
Nice.
Green wave.
Dockers. What Dockers have done with green, right? Pair of blue jeans.
No,
Little dark green.
Little Skosh more room.
Nobody does picnic dockers.
Coach, more room.
Let's go more room.
You saw the commercial.
Yeah.
Those scissors fit in the utility belt?
Listen. You can leave this in your car and talk to while you're driving. You can pretend it's Jim Cushman and continue to salute life's cup.
Solve life's problems.
Oh, yeah.
There's one for you and one for Jim.
It's supposed to look like
A G.I. Joe.
Brad,
Life like here?
Brad, you can't have that.
Cushman. This is Cushman's.
Brad, you can't have that.
Wrapped up.
He's got a mustache. Cushman's has got a mustache.
Okay.
Okay.
The
Final speech before your rebuttal.
Final speech before the rebuttal.
To help you feel better about the money, while you were away earning it, we were buying airplane tickets to fly home for 2 weeks, going out to eat, Mom doesn't cook on drill nights, phone calls from Vermont College for money, shopping to fill the time, like buying new drapes and photo albums.
Jenny.
Oh yeah. No amount of money in the world can replace your not being here when Mom stayed on the couch for 3 days with a kidney infection and went into the hospital the minute you got home.
Yeah, I slept on this couch for good many nights.
The family celebrations in Connecticut, birthdays and anniversaries. Jenny went into the hospital with a stomach virus. The kids' baseball, basketball, band, soccer, track, gymnastics, cheerleading, wrestling, guitar lessons.
Where the hell have you been?
School recitals, parades, friends' house trips, little league tryouts, ear infections, scarlet fever, appendicitis, chickenpox, measles, numerous colds, and downright crankiness.
You got a bat? Let's just hit him over the head. Where the hell's the PMS? Where the hell's the PMS?
The loneliness of all kids asleep and house quiet can't go to sleep without you. This is for Mom, obviously. Welcome back.
I
to
hope
City
so.
Life. We missed you.
After a list like that, I'd stay in, buddy.
Stay down! Boy, were you a shithead!
Get a rebuttal?
Yes, let's have a rebuttal.
That's right.
There we go.
The floor recognizes 2 minutes, Mr. Rosado.
Two minutes, Mr. Rizal.
There's 2 minutes left.
No, we got about 5 minutes. Go ahead. We'll let you know.
Push it up.
I get the rebuttal. Why did I do this? Well, I was 22 years old. I was married, and I had an obligation. And I felt very strongly about that obligation. And I found that there was an honorable way for me to serve my country without having to go away. So I went and I did that. And I got in a car and I drove 3.5 hours to Mobile, Alabama, and I joined the Army Reserve. Actually, it was the National Guard. And that's why I did that. And I still think that that was the right thing for me to do, and I've always believed in that. And let's see. What did I learn? I learned one thing, and really one thing only. And I learned that from Colonel Alton R. Barnes from the Alabama Military Academy, and he said, the unit commander is responsible for everything that his unit does or does not do. You've heard that. And I believe in that, and I've lived that through everything I've done in my military career, and it served me well in my civilian career, because I never make any excuses for what's done in my area. I either do it, or it doesn't get done. That's the name of that tune. Let's see. What else did I take away? I took away a hell of a lot of learning on leadership, especially now it's serving me well in senior level leadership, and what leadership really means, and that's been very, very important to me.
there's somebody in the room that's a Vietnam veteran, and I envy that person very, very much. I would have liked to have gone there, but it just didn't fit in my life. So in closing, I think, why am I getting out? And again, I think there's maybe one or two people in the room who can understand this. I took what I did very seriously. All you people enjoy a very good freedom in this country, and it really takes a lot of defending, and it really takes a lot of people to not make war, but to defer war and make sure that it doesn't happen. And that's what the whole military thing is all about. It's not the capability to make war, it's the capability to keep it from happening. And that's what I did. And while I was doing that, you could enjoy your freedom. And I think that was the right thing for me to do. So why am I getting out? Why am I leaving? Desert Storm showed me that I was no longer emotionally ready to make the commitment that it really takes to be in the military service. You have to be ready to die for your country. And I was no longer in a position to be able to do that. I just didn't think it was right for me. I did it for 23 years, and I was ready to do it if I had to, but I was no longer ready to do that. So I thought about it a lot, and it took me about 18 months or 2 years to get it in my head. But once I got it in my head, I decided that that was the right thing for me to do, and it was a younger man's game, and it was time to turn it over to somebody else. So I did that, and that's why I'm getting out. And that's my story. Go watch the ball game, boy. Go watch it. Are they in?
We're in this.
You can still fit in there. Now, let's go find a place to lay down.
So you guys are taking a piss?
Yeah, that's right.
Right now.
Yeah.
What do I get those? Where's Vic?
Give him minutes.
Hey, that's
Hey, Vic.
What's up,
Vic don't fit in this like that. Vic wants to travel last year.
Give me a break.
I got here.
Give minutes.
You'll be fine.
I only have one thing to say. You have no weapon and you had your cover on.
With my white belt on.
Too late. I'd like to have it started right away. What's that? No, this is personal. I'm not buying or selling anything. Yes, ma'am. I know just what to say. I wrote it down. This is how it should be.
Here we go, here we go.
One good-hearted woman to forgive imperfection in the man that she loved. Just one chance to tell her how much he still loves her. He can't be sorry.
Like, this is serious stuff to him.
What's that? No, that's all I wanna say. I just hope these few lines will get to her. Yes, ma'am. She means everything. I hope she comes back when she reads these words. One good-hearted woman to forgive
Leland. Two of you pick that swing up carefully, move it over there, tie that off to the ring. This one. No. You got it, man. Go through the loop, tie it off.
What are you doing? No, we're not gonna play as good because we're on team. Yeah, somebody.
lean on me when you're not strong. Learning how to tie our shoes for the first time, though often we got our fingers caught in the laces. We remember learning how to count to 100, though most of us never made it. We remember learning how to write our names for the first time, even though often it turned out to be scribbles.
We remember some of the funny and embarrassing things that happened to us in kindergarten. For instance, when the boys used to kiss us to wake us up from our naps. We also remember when Lucy Smith brought a sheep in from her farm. It was fun to play with until it made a puddle.
We had many fun experiences in kindergarten. Our teachers would put shaving cream on our desk so we could learn ABCs by writing in it. It was messy, but it made learning fun.
We remember it wasn't fun when in kindergarten our teachers introduced us to the wonderful world of CTBS tests. We will always remember the phrase, fill in your circle completely and make your mark dark. We remember the fun field trip to the pumpkin patch to pick out pumpkins for Halloween. We all picked pumpkins too big to carry back to the bus. We also remember going to Lucy Smith's farm to see the animals. And when Katie Whitaker made her teacher carry her through the barn because she didn't want to get her feet dirty.
We will always remember kindergarten.
Our teachers were Mrs. Liebengut, Mrs. Brown, Mrs. Payton, Mrs. Pysick, and Miss Affler. We remember learning many things in first grade. One of the most important things was the comprehension of reading. We would like it when we would read a book as a class and be able to tell about it at the end. We also learned some simple math facts.
We did many fun things in first grade. Most of us liked the day after day episodes of Reading Rainbow. Making flowers out of tissue papers for Mother's Day was fun. Everybody thought theirs was the best.
First grade was full of fun and embarrassing moments, like the time when Mrs. Liebengut tried to sell her class makeup. Most of us girls remember a certain young gentleman who used to try to chase us on the playground and try to kiss us. Gross.
We remember going to the Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus. All of us in Mrs. Payton's class got to sit in the front row. We all loved the exciting tigers and the funny clowns. Another field trip we took was to the Ross Park Zoo. We got tired from all that walking.
We remember having to watch boring movies. We would always have to sit staring helplessly at the screen. That sure wasn't much fun.
We will always remember first grade.
We remember second grade. Our teachers were Mrs. Whitaker, Mrs. Godfrey, Mrs. Brunson, and Mrs. Johnson. Mrs. Johnson's substitute was Miss Thompson when she was in the hospital. We remember when Mrs. Henders came in and dissected a cows. Some people got sick and had to leave the room. Most people thought it was pretty neat.
We also remember studying mealworms. Most of them died or fell on the floor and got squashed. We also remember somebody falling asleep during Mrs. Coons' math class.
In Mrs. Godfrey's class, when everyone was studying, someone in the bathroom started singing. Everyone started laughing.
We also remember watching Mr. Goodbody learn about physical fitness. Some people liked it, but I found it very boring.
We also remember going to the zoo. We remember when Mac Ray went up to the lion cage and started growling at the lion. The lion came running up to the front of the cage and started scratching it. We all ran out scared.
We will always remember second grade.
We remember third grade. Our teachers were Mrs. Ramsey, Mrs. Krause, Mrs. DeMiller, and Mrs. Gardner. Our student teachers were Miss Min, Miss Biscayne, Mr. Moore, and Mrs. and Mrs. Foster. In third grade, we learned how to write in cursive and how to multiply.
We remember when Mrs. Ramsey sat in her chair and it collapsed underneath her. We also remember when Mrs. D'Amelia put a plant in the closet to see if it would live without water or sunlight, and Dustin Budge cried out, "Leave it alone, it didn't do anything to you." Then he went in the corner and cried. We remember when someone was walking down the hall and their button on their pants broke. Their pants fell down and everybody started laughing.
Everyone enjoyed learning their multiplication facts by playing around the world in math. We also remember when Mr. Moore made green slime. We were supposed to figure out if it was a liquid or solid. No one ever did.
We remember in third grade there were good things and bad things. Some of the bad things were when D.J. Davis's caterpillar Herb died, and then we had to do 100 multiplication facts in 3 minutes.
We remember helping out St. Jude's Hospital by having a math-a-thon to raise money. We also remember having our first track meet, and Mrs. D'Amelia's class won.
We will always remember third grade. We remember fourth grade. Our teachers were Mrs. Flanagan, Mrs. Hoffman, Mrs. Martinelli, and Mrs. Zonner. We remember learning about crayfish in Mrs. Zonner's science class. We will always remember when we first learned how to run a store called Gadgets and Gizmos in Mrs. Martinelli's math class.
We had lots of fun making candles in Mrs. Hoffman's social studies class. We'll never forget the big mess we made with the candle wax.
A funny time we'll always remember happened in Mrs. Flanagan's fourth grade class. Mrs. Flanagan was out and had a substitute, and the substitute put one of our classmates in the garbage can for talking too much.
We remember something that wasn't fun when Liz Pluto lost her earring in her earlobe and had to go to the hospital to get it removed.
It was very fun to go bowling at the Plaza Lanes in Norwich. We got to bowl 2 games. Not too many people did well, but we still had a great time.
We will always remember fourth grade.
We remember fifth grade. Our teachers were Mrs. Tackerberry, Mrs. Ortel, Mrs. Sabella, and Mr. Rule. Filling in for Mrs. Tackerberry for half of the year was Miss Hughes. We also had 2 student teachers, Mrs. Mack and Miss Valdez. This is the year we learned about whales and Mayan Indians by watching The Voyage of the Navy. In math, we learned how to multiply and divide fractions. Also in 5th grade, we learned how to read and understand latitude and longitude, but some of us still don't get it.
One day in gym class, all the girls decided to take a shower when the fire alarm went off. We all ran outside half-dressed and soaking wet. A month or so later, when it was quiet in Mrs. Artel's room, Chris Holmes somehow scuffed his shoe on the floor, creating a very rude noise. Later in the year, when Mr. Marabito came in, Matt White yelled out, "I'm going out with your daughter, Katie." Katie was very embarrassed, even though it was a joke.
Of course, we'll always remember the time when Mike Slavic ate fish food on a dare. We'll also remember when we used to have wet paper towel fights in Mrs. Ortel's class when she wasn't looking, until one hit her.
We remember in Mrs. Ortel's and Mrs. Tackberry's class, we would get chips in a jar for being good. When the chips got up to a certain point, we'd have a read-in, and sometimes a read-out. A fun activity in science was when we learned how to make a light bulb light up with a light bulb, a copper wire, and a battery. We will always remember our 5th grade track meet. Mrs. Ortel's class won.
We will always remember the things that weren't fun in 5th grade. One was when Mrs. Tackberry had to leave because of her daughter's illness. Another was Mr. Rule's classical music he played every afternoon. We probably all liked it, and one really did.
We will always remember 5th grade.
We remember 6th grade. Our teachers were Mrs. Ramsey, Mr. Funk, Miss Reed, and Mrs. Haley. Miss Ward was Mrs. Ramsey's student teacher. We learned many interesting things. Miss Reed and Mrs. Ramsey taught us about acid rain, and we got to get out of class to check our rain collectors. In social studies, Mrs. Haley taught us how to make piñatas, while Mr. Funk taught about the flat earth, cubits, and convenient bushes. We also learned geometry in our math classes. Working with younger kids in cluster activities and reading partners was lots of fun. Most of us enjoyed it. Mrs. Ramsey made LA and history interesting with the book Nightgown.
The winter banquet was fun. We wrote letters of invitation and learned to serve as hosts. At any rate, we learned a lot in Miss Reed's science class. Miss Reed and Mrs. Haley are opposites. One is always hot, the other cold. We almost caught pneumonia going from class to class. Going to be up good was interesting. We especially liked the Washington trip, although riding for 7 hours with broken air conditioning wasn't much fun. Some of us liked the museums, some the monuments, and we all liked the motels. Some fun activities we learned were backgammon with Mrs. Haley and chess with Mr. Funk.
We had some amusing experiences too. One day Mr. Funk's zipper broke, and he hid it behind the first aid kit during recess and taught all day sitting down. We wondered why until we found out. We soon learned to recognize Mrs. Ramsey's laugh or snort. When Mrs. Ritten's class planted tulips, Ian McCormick discovered that he had planted his upside down.
We all enjoyed Mrs. Haley's photo album of her baby, which was her kitten, even if Miss Reed didn't. Jake Brown fell asleep in Mr. Funk's class, but he was awakened in a hurry when Mr. Funk pulled the hairs on his legs.
Boy, were we glad when our social studies research papers were done. In science, Mrs. Ramsey and Miss Reed taught us how to use thermometers and anemometers, which we built. We also learned the properties of liquids. Mrs. Haley and Miss Reed, too, learned the properties of liquids with the help of Matt Burrell and me, Josh Scott, and many other 6th graders, and a garbage can full of water. The feudalism game was a fun activity we all enjoyed. It was fun too, and the musical was fun, and of course the track meet too. Although Mr. Funk's won, we all had fun anyway. It was fun too when Mrs. Haley taught us how to cure hiccups. Things were less fun included CTBS and pep tests, and graduation rehearsals. We will always remember our years at Gibson School.
Joseph Rosado. Neil Distro. Andrew Bontorno. George Brown. Eric Burpee. Amber Che. Kevin Collins. Shane Conant. Stacy Curry. Christy Downey. Peter Drake. Sarah Foster. Christopher Greeley. Michael Janetz. Jenna Menard. Jeffrey Newton. Andrea Parker. Stephen Rosa. Jessica Sheldon. Rachel Simons. Kristen Whiting. Peter Ukit. Christopher Young. B. Dustin Budge. Matt Burrell. Timothy Kristen. Deidre Davis. Ryan Beatty. Danielle Newell. Ann Foley. Elena Golden. Aaron Harding. Molly James. Merrill Jones. Megan McMudd. Catherine Rabideau. Tara Menard. David Mitchell. Corey O'Connell. Jamie O'Shea. Andrew Peck. Diana Portlack. Laura Roberts. Joseph Rosado. Christopher Russell. Aaron Ryan. Joshua Scott. Lucy Smith. Stephen Squires. Luisa Vasquez. Catherine Whitaker. Jamie Thomas. Jamie Cummings. Christopher Greeley. Nellie Magistro. Tara Menard. Most improved in science, Peter Drake. Nancy Gray. Trish Hills.
The grades the students have obtained this year, but their academic record from the time they started school through their 6th grade year, the end of their elementary school career. They are based on very set criteria. They have to have a certain percentile on their nationally normed standardized test, a certain percentage of A's as compared to B's in their record prior to 6th grade, and then they have to maintain their academic standing throughout 6th grade as well. They come with a little note. Congratulations to the winners of the 1993 Presidential Academic Fitness Awards from Gibson Elementary School. The pursuit of knowledge and academic excellence must always be of highest priority for American students. You should be extremely proud of your school's participation in this program and of your personal achievements. As representatives of a promising future, young people must use every resource available to face the challenges that lie ahead. With your help in exercising the civic responsibility, our communities can be stronger and our national education goals realized. As we approach the 21st century, I'm counting on your commitment to the development of a better nation. I'm confident that you will build on your successes thus far and continue to strive for even higher goals in the future. Congratulations and best wishes for many more years of success. Signed at the bottom, William Clinton. The Presidential Awards. Please come down and receive them as we have received the Outstanding Improved Awards. Brian Deedy. Lucy Smith. James O'Shea. Matthew Corral. Rebecca Furtick. Aaron Geber. Christopher Holmes. Leah Patterson. Elizabeth Pluto. Timothy Kristen. Megan McMahon. Aaron Hardy. Catherine Whitaker. Laura Roberts. Andrew Pepp. Amber Che. Elena Golden. Sarah LaFave. Christopher Russell. David Mitchell. Now, we also have two that are awarded to students who, by their extreme efforts this year, have come and attained qualification. They are called the Achievement Awards. It says, in recognition of extraordinary effort to achieve academic excellence and meet these criteria. And these two go to Peter Drake and Diana Portlock. Our presidential scholars.
can't get y'all.
We all have to go Lee's and Geek.
Everybody wave. Say cheese. He's the guy.
Cheese in motion.
All right, everybody wave goodbye to Mr. Funk. Bye.